Welcome to The Wanderer's Inn.
Aileen jolted awake, her back pressed against the wooden door of the inn, her neck stiff and aching. Dim morning light filtered through the grimy window. She gently cradled her right hand, wrapped in bandages stained with dried blood. She frowned and muttered to herself,
Feeling worse than yesterday, probably just overthinking it.
But this was no illusion. The wound was festering. Memories surged like a tidal wave, and she suddenly opened her eyes. She scrambled to her feet and looked around in alarm.
Skeletons? Demons?
2 crude daggers lay on a nearby table, proving the nightmare was no illusion. Before Irene even opened the kitchen door, a foul stench hit her. The dead fish rotted on the cutting board, its scales glistening in the sunlight, covered in dried blood. A black worm crawled out of the fish's mouth. Aileen gagged and instinctively covered her mouth and nose.
That's disgusting.
She slowly backed away, then bolted out of the kitchen, terrified she might throw up. This was how her second day began, with death and decay. The early morning air offered no comfort whatsoever. Instead, it made her acutely aware that she was utterly alone in this desolate world. 15 minutes walk from the hotel. Irene tossed the rotten fish off the cutting board, and the moment it hit the floor, the contents burst forth. Countless black-green insects gushed out from every crevice of the fish's body. Aileen screamed and took off running, her hair whipping behind her. She was running faster and faster, faster than she should have been. Later, by the stream, she scrubbed the wooden plank with all her might. But a black insect with a green glowing abdomen stubbornly clung to the wood. Irene snapped her fingers sharply. The insect burst open, acid splattering onto the wooden plank and her arm. She plunged her arms into the water and screamed.
Wah, wah, wah!
Irene sat by the water's edge, carefully examining the skin that had turned red after being burned by the acid. The wound on her hand throbbed faintly with each heartbeat, yellow pus seeping through the bandage. She's already sustained 2 injuries. How many more will it take to kill her? She glanced back at the fish carcass in the distance, now stained black by swarms of blowflies. Irene flipped it off with both middle fingers, her injured hand seeming to protest.
This is for you.
Irene stood before her meager ingredients, her stomach growling. Blue fruit won't last long. Somehow the knowledge flooded into her mind. Flour, oil, salt, sugar, yeast, water. Basic cooking. Skill whispered commands she had never learned. She frowned and rubbed her temples. How would I know any of this? Magic bestowed upon her knowledge, yet denied her the spark of fire. She stared at the cold oven and caught sight of a bent piece of metal and a rough stone on the shelf. She suddenly realized. Irene struck the flint against the metal, sending sparks flying onto the dry grass. After several attempts, a small flame finally ignited and gradually grew larger. Nevertheless, she grinned.
Call me Prometheus.
Irene trudged toward the stream, bucket in hand. Suddenly, the grass ahead shot up violently. A massive creature suddenly burst forth. It had leathery wings and a beak longer than her arm. A pterosaur-like bird with green and red camouflage scales. She let out a shriek and wildly swung the bucket. The creature let out a shrill cry and flew away. Irene sat in the grass, her heart racing, watching it disappear from view.
Camouflaged dinosaur. Now I've seen it all.
After walking 10 steps, she discovered its nest. Inside were the remains of small birds and 5 large bird eggs. She stared at the bird's egg, then glanced at the empty bucket. Driven by extreme hunger, a decision was made. Irene cracked the first egg into the mixing bowl. A large egg yolk oozed out, covered in red veins. She suddenly felt a wave of nausea.
Still alive. There's a baby inside.
She forced herself to continue, cracking one egg after another, each one feeling like a small death on her conscience. Her hands kneaded the dough with surprising dexterity. Basic cooking. Skill guided her movements. Soon, fresh pasta boiled over the fire she had painstakingly lit. She even squeezed thick, sweet juice from blue fruits. Irene carefully placed everything on the table. Then sit down and enjoy. As her fork hovered over the first strand of pasta, someone knocked on the door. Without a moment's hesitation, Irene opened the door. A giant insect stood before her, resembling an ant in appearance. It possesses protruding black eyes, a brown chitinous exoskeleton, and 4 arms. 2 swords hung from its sides, its jaw clicking as it spoke in fluent English.
Hello, may we come in?
Irene slammed the door shut, bolted it, and grabbed the goblin dagger from the table. A second voice came from outside the door, low and hoarse.
Perhaps we've come at the wrong time?
Tiptoeing backward, he opened the door just a crack. A 6.5-foot-tall lizardman with green scales, sharp claws, and a forked tongue. He lowered his head and grinned at her, revealing rows of sharp teeth.
Hello, miss, if we...
Irene slammed the door shut once more, then dragged furniture to block it. The sounds outside continued, one making a clicking noise, the other a drawn-out sound. Erin pressed herself against the door, her heart pounding like a drum.
Are you a dragon?
Laughter echoed from outside the door. Then the Lizardman answered.
I am not a dragon. I am merely a lowly dragon in the city guard. We saw the smoke and came to check. Can we come in? I promise I won't bite.
City guard, guardians, not monsters, maybe.
Eileen hesitated for a moment, then made a choice that would change everything. She opened the door.
Would you like something to eat?
The dragon blinked in surprise.
Sure thing.
She pointed to the food she had carefully prepared.
The food is over there.
Drake Wolf, who called himself Rilke, wolfed down his spaghetti. Meanwhile, his companion, the insect Klbkch, ate with meticulous care. Eileen watched with both fascination and dread. Rilke explained.
We are the elite guards. The plague claimed every life here and this place was abandoned. If you can still walk around, you should be fine.
She clasped her hands over her head.
Then wouldn't I be vomiting until I pass out?
Klbkch's antenna twitched.
As long as you're not oozing pus, you won't.
The small consolation is insignificant. That moment, Klbkch noticed her bandaged hand, pus oozing through the bandages. He reached into a bag and pulled out a bottle of liquid that glowed green.
This is a healing potion. It will cure your illness.
Aileen poured the emerald green liquid onto the wound. The effect was immediate. The wound healed, the pain vanished, and the incision closed completely. She gratefully embraced Klbkch, only to be jabbed in the ribs by his exoskeleton, causing her to cry out in pain. Rilke tossed a few copper and silver coins onto the table.
Thank you for the delicious dinner.
As we prepared to leave, Rilke grinned.
That blue drink was really delicious. We'll come back tomorrow.
For the first time in days, Erin was no longer alone. After they left, she sat in the empty inn, staring at the gold coin in her palm and her now healed hand. She sat motionless for an hour, processing everything that had just happened. Finally, she fell asleep, and a familiar message appeared on the screen.
Innkeeper, level 5. Acquired. Skill, basic crafting.
Let me sleep for a while.